Are they fearless advocates for the planet or reckless vandals risking our cultural heritage? Today, we dive deep into the last generation, a group that polarizes as much as it provokes. From public disruptions to accusations of terrorism, we unpack the radical tactics that have thrust them into the global spotlight. Is their controversial approach a necessary evil or a dangerous misstep in the fight against climate change? Welcome to Free Mind. Today we explore the philosophies, objectives, and strategies that define the last generation, beliefs and ideologies. The last generation is rooted in a profound concern for the environment, emphasizing the dire need for immediate action against climate change. Their core belief is that drastic measures are necessary to force governmental and societal change when traditional avenues have failed. The group argues that the irreversible consequences of global warming are a clear and present danger, necessitating urgent activism to safeguard the planet for future generations. They contend that passive dialogue has been largely ineffective in instigating the required transformation in energy policies and consumption habits. This leads them to endorse a philosophy of disruption aimed at gaining the public's attention and catalyzing significant policy changes. Critics, however, question whether their disruptive methods risk undermining the very cause they aim to promote. They suggest that such actions may alienate potential allies and provoke public resentment rather than cooperation. Despite these concerns, the last generation maintains that their radical approach is the only viable path left, framing their activism as a necessary response to an existential threat. Objectives and goals? The last generation has set goals to address the challenges of climate change through immediate and impactful measures. Their main objective is to pressure governments into implementing environmental regulations that significantly reduce carbon emissions. They call for a transition from fossil fuels, investment in renewable energy sources, and substantial lifestyle adjustments to create a sustainable future. Moreover, they seek to raise awareness about the pressing nature of the climate crisis in order to rally communities for political and industrial transformations. The organization also advocates for collaboration on climate issues, emphasizing the need for a unified international strategy to make meaningful advancements. Nevertheless, their methods for achieving these objectives are often viewed as radical, with skeptics suggesting that their focus on short-term disruptions could potentially impede term environmental advocacy efforts. Proposed solutions. In their pursuit of these goals, the last generation suggests bold ideas. They recommend stopping all fossil fuel projects right away, imposing a hefty tax on corporate carbon emissions, and investing heavily in sustainable infrastructure. The group also emphasizes the need for regulations to ensure businesses follow environmental guidelines. Additionally, they suggest revamping education to include climate studies in school curriculums with the goal of nurturing a generation that cares about the environment. While some environmentalists have praised these ideas for their courage, others have raised concerns about their practicality and potential impact on the economy. Critics argue that such rapid changes could cause economic instability and job losses, especially in areas reliant on the fossil fuel sector. Controversies and public disruption. The last generation has faced its share of controversies, especially when it comes to their approach to activism. Their strategies often involve causing disruptions in public spaces, like blocking main roads, disrupting transportation systems, and organizing sit-ins at governmental and corporate buildings. These activities aim to draw attention to the pressing issues surrounding climate change. However, these disruptions have drawn criticism for inconveniencing citizens and redirecting emergency services. The group's actions have raised concerns about the balance between the right to protest and the public's entitlement to unrestricted access to urban infrastructure. The intensity of these disturbances has prompted some individuals to question whether these actions could be labeled as eco-terrorism, further dividing opinion. Art and architecture vandalism. One of the most contentious aspects of the last generation's activism is their targeting of cultural artifacts, including the vandalism of artworks and historical architecture. The group justifies these actions as symbolic gestures meant to highlight the neglect of invaluable human heritage in the face of environmental degradation. They argue that society must prioritize the global ecosystem over material and cultural assets to secure a livable future. However, this stance has provoked fierce backlash, not only from art lovers and historians, but also from many within the environmental movement. Critics argue that such acts undermine the moral high ground that environmental advocacy traditionally holds. The destruction of art and architecture has been widely condemned as counterproductive, turning potential supporters away and diminishing the group's credibility and message. Reactions and legal implications. The bold actions of the last generation have sparked not only public discussions, but also legal repercussions. Some of their protests have resulted in arrests, court battles, and a strict crackdown by authorities. In regions, these clashes have escalated to the extent where the group has been branded as a terrorist entity due to their disruptive methods. This classification carries consequences not just for the activists themselves, but also for the wider environmental movement. Legal professionals and civil liberties defenders have expressed worries about how such labels could impinge on freedom of expression and the right to assembly. The global reaction varies greatly, with some nations opting for punishments while others take a more forgiving approach, viewing their actions as acts of civil disobedience. This divergent legal landscape mirrors the opinions on striking a balance between advocating for the environment and upholding public order. Media coverage and public perception. The media play a crucial role in shaping public perception of the last generation. Coverage ranges from sympathetic portrayals of desperate activists fighting for a noble cause to harsh critiques of reckless anarchists undermining public safety and social order. Media outlets that focus on the disruptions and legal issues tend to paint the group in a negative light, amplifying public frustrations with their tactics. Conversely, environmental channels and progressive media sometimes highlight the urgency of their cause and the desperation that drives their actions. This bifurcation in media portrayal contributes to a split public opinion, where the narrative is often more about the methods than the message. The challenge for the last generation is to navigate this media landscape effectively, using it to amplify their urgent environmental message while mitigating the backlash against their more controversial actions. Sustainability of tactics and long-term viability. Critically assessing the long-term viability of the last generation's approach, questions arise about the sustainability of their tactics. While their actions have succeeded in drawing attention to the climate crisis, the adversarial nature of their strategies may lead to diminishing returns. Public fatigue with constant disruptions, legal battles draining resources, and potential alienation from moderate supporters could pose significant challenges to their continued impact. Environmental advocacy requires widespread public support and cooperative governmental action, both of which could be jeopardized by ongoing antagonism. For the last generation to maintain its relevance and effectiveness, it may need to consider evolving its tactics. This could involve seeking alliances with other environmental groups to amplify their message through less divisive means, or innovating new forms of protest that do not incur public wrath. Episode summary. As the last generation progresses, it finds itself at a crossroads. The group must strike a balance between conveying its environmental message and facing increased public and legal scrutiny of its tactics. How well it adjusts to these challenges will determine its role within the global environmental movement. Will it moderate its approach to broaden its support base? Will it stay true to its radical origins, potentially risking alienation of potential allies? With the planet heating up and environmental issues becoming more pressing, the actions of organizations like The Last Generation will continue to be, albeit contentious, topic of discussion. Their narrative serves as a portrayal of the tensions between activism and societal norms, shedding light on the intricate dynamics involved in combating climate change. Thank you for watching. In the comments, please share your thoughts, and if you're interested in this kind of topic, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insightful content. See you next time.